people everywhere. We smoke that ganja, blow that smoke up in the air. They say we don't can have it, but we really don't care. Liberate the mind of the people everywhere. We all love them, everyone. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Leo.
Yeah, it's your boy Mikey.
Welcome to the Mikey Leo Show. What's up, people land? What's cracking with you?
What's cracking, everybody?
Reparations.
Reparations. Well, like, do we deserve money? I mean, everybody else, deserves reparations, and they got the reparations. I mean, if you look back, the Indians got reparations.
Mm-hmm.
Jewish people got reparations. Even the Japanese people got reparations. Up until this day, they still get benefits. Black people still don't get benefits from nothing. And I argue, like, they should give us benefits from slavery all the way up until now. With all this systematic shit going on, like, I feel like we should give reparations for all that. Black people are the poorest race of people on earth. The poorest race of people on earth. We are 7 degrees of separation from a millionaire within our race. Versus white people, it's only 1 degree of separation from somebody that got some money. Another billionaire, another millionaire, or something like that. So that's the only way I feel we can pull ourselves up out of this rut or hole, so to speak, that we've been pigeonholed into.
It's reparative justice. It's payback or compensation for injustices that's been
unjustly put upon
the people. So that's what reparations is. The 40 acres and the mule concept comes from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were we ever promised reparations from our government?
Yeah, we were. Every time they promised it to us, they either reneged on it or found ways to not, honor the promises that they made.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we got the time to vote, they were trying to figure out how to stop us from fighting and rioting and everything like that. They were trying to figure out, like, why black people, why we so riled up and why we keep fighting. And they figured out it's because they kept promising us stuff and they didn't fall through with it.
Mm-hmm.
So they just stopped promising us stuff altogether. And that's why you don't hear them talking about anything like with the elections. And the only reason I'm bringing up the elections and voting, because it all goes hand to hand, If you think about it, like if you look at the past election that came up, any election prior to that, they never speak on specific black issues. They always put minority in the mix. And I argue that black people have the single most different type of experience in this world, in this land, than any other race. We're the only people who went through every war. We're the only people who were taken away from our homeland and stripped of our ancestry and our history and brainwashed.
Wait now. We were immigrants according to Ben Carson.
Do you know they teach that in schools now?
Yeah, man. Immigrants.
Yeah, they teach that in schools.
We packed up and was like, let's get it for America.
That's a damn lie.
So let's take all our babies and ride in the bottom of this shithole.
It's gonna take people like us to call it out and just to say what it is and call it for what it is.
Yeah, that was slavery.
Yeah, it was slavery, and you can't live that down. And I don't think we should ever try to live that down. Every chance we get, we should try to put that in their faces, because the Jewish people do not shy away from their suffrage. They actually celebrate it because it's a way to keep them grounded, so to speak, to know where they came from and to let people know, hey, we still remember this suffrage and this will not happen to us again. Versus black people, we let people come in and rewrite our history, and to the point where you got your kids coming up and they believing that we were immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
Once they freed us, that was it. Okay, go ahead and leave. It wasn't no type of, okay, here you go, this is some type of severance package or something. Even when you lose a job, all of a sudden they give you a severance package so you can at least survive for a year or so. You know what I'm saying?
Some people came back like, man, I don't know what to do out there.
Exactly, because if you teach a slave how to read and write, they essentially will free themselves. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they did not teach us how to read and write, and didn't teach us our history. Your history started right here on the slave plantation, and that's what kept a lot of us shackled in our minds. Mm-hmm. Like the key was not to. They didn't want to put us in shackles and enslave us like they were doing. They wanted to enslave our mind. That's what that Willie Lynch letter and shit came from. It came from them breaking a slave. Basically, the same way they break a horse.
Now you have to start looking at, as a community of people, we need to come in and elect our own, and not call them leaders, but representatives.
Exactly.
That's going to
speak for us.
the people, where the people have some say so in what the people need, and we have some say so. The representatives will say, hey, listen, it don't make sense for us to fight for that, and they can streamline what we need to fight for. And then there should be things available in as far as funds, the way you do as far as grants and things of that nature, where if you qualify, and this means the way we set up, they should let us set up our own grants from our wisest people to say, okay, if you fit this criteria, then you can get the grant, and let the criteria be on what have you done for the people and that type of thing.
Right.
What is your track record?
Right.
How do you live?
Yeah.
Those type of things that we need. And those are the people you give the reparations money to, because then they can trickle it down to the community fairly.
Right.
And we represent the people represent us. They're elected from us, and they're not told who he is. No niggas with perms. You see what I'm saying? No niggas with rings on the sides of none of these flashy niggas, because we let the lower level people be flashy.
I would say have Dr. Claude Anderson do that shit, because he's actually been talking about this, and the way you put it down so eloquently right now. He said that. He's been saying this for years, dog.
Okay.
We have to elect our own politicians, and we got to work the system the way it should be worked. You got to start from the ground floor, all the way up to the top. So you congregate your money at the bottom level, elect you an official. I can't say it the way he said it, but that's exactly what he was saying, bro. And yeah, man, we need somebody like him to do that.
You tax the rich. Okay? You tax the rich. You give them a 0.005% tax on their dollar, which is nothing. And you tax them over the next 10 years. So the fund is growing. So by then, we have to come up with a 1-year plan before we can even access the money.
Right.
So now we got the plan in order. We coming up with the plan, and then we can start deducting from this. And you have to show, there has to be checks and balances, receipt for schools and things of that nature. You can't start a revolution without land, without school, without medicine,
without money.
Yeah. So you give the people in hand, but you give them American laws. Okay, you gonna live in our country though, but you still have to make sure that, okay, we FDA approved or whatever, but the FDA has to open up segregation in their rules. You have you have this group of rules, and you have this group of rules, because there are cultural differences.
But it has to be specifically for black people.
Tailored to black people.
I don't want them to use those titles that they use for minorities. No, don't use that. Immigrants, none of that. It's black people. We have a specific plight in this country. We have a unique struggle from different from anybody else's, so we don't need to be included in with nobody else, and they don't need to be included in with us at all, because I feel like that's a way to slight us. Them bringing in the immigrants was a way to slight us, because if they didn't bring those immigrants in, we would have those benefits that a lot of these immigrants are getting. If they didn't do that affirmative action shit, that's not really for black people. That's for white women and gay people, gay white people actually. So we have to be
gay white men.
Gay white men, exactly.
Yeah.
Because we have to be real strategic with how we're naming this stuff, and not be scared to say, "Hey, we want something specifically for black people." What's wrong with saying that? Because I don't have a problem with white people being concerned about their race. You should be. Every person should be concerned about their race. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you have the power to manipulate somebody else's race and put them in shackles and keep them down, that's a problem, because that's inhumane. Slavery was inhumane.
And to me, that you cannot have reparations without a plan on how to discipline your own people.
Exactly. You need a mechanism
for that. Take the power out of them to say, hey, them one of ours. We got them. And this is our system, and our system is true and tried, that this is how we reform our own.
It's nothing to discipline nobody. We don't have any type of system. We don't have any money. Basically, there's no economic system to punish these people for going off code.
Let's just look at it this way. See, this is the thing about racism. Us as black people, we got to realize what racism is before we can understand how to deal with it. Mm-hmm. See, we think racism is really this hatred thing, and it really is not. No. Racism ain't really about us against them. It's about
genetic
the capacity of a person's heart. And I'm gonna give you an example. This happens in regular homes where you have broken homes, where you have a family, where the dad, okay, he come in, he marries the woman. Mm-hmm. The woman has kids already. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So then he and the woman have kids. Okay? So then when it comes to discipline time, he's always harder on this outside than he is on his own.
Yeah.
And that's how they are with us.
Right.
They see us, they don't understand this. They like, stop all this goddamn dancing all the time. We trying to work, because niggas will party.
Right.
And so they come down harder on us than they would their own. So what we do as parents, we like, hey nigga, don't whoop our kids.
Right.
We got them.
Right.
And that's how we need to look at our people. Mm-hmm. We need to say, we turn our people over to the system on ourselves. Right. We call them, they parents on us to discipline ourselves.
Right. Even though some of you niggas do need to be on child support. But
yeah, that ain't the point I'm making. Because some of you niggas are just like, but the thing about I'm saying, as black people, how do we rectify that?
Right. We shouldn't have to run to somebody else to discipline our people. It should be some type of mechanism there for us to do that ourselves.
Yeah. But anyway, that's just something to think about at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say thank you for tuning in to Mikey Leo, the melanated father and son duo, just two grown men, talking about things that matters. Until the next time you bless us with your eardrums, love yourselves, and be free.
People everywhere, we smoke that ganja, blow that smoke up in the air. They say we don't can have it, but we really don't care. Liberate the mind of the people everywhere. We all love a marijuana. People everywhere, we smoke that ganja, blow that smoke up in the air. They say we don't can have it, but we really don't care. Liberate the mind of the people everywhere. We all love a marijuana.
Tip top papers, Garcia Vegas, Swisher sweet Billy blunts wrapped around grape bud. Whatever you got the taste for, wrap it up and flame up. As long as you got sticky and some buzz that you can't break up. They say don't take drugs, but that stuff made up. Drugs all made up, cause herbs from nature. So let your mind get high, let your soul live high. Uplift the people, baby, ain't that what we live by? Let the stress get by, let the pain slip by. Deadlines on the line, the ganja will make it fine. Slow down and take your time and see what place you find. When you escape your mind and let your feet skate the sky. Tell us don't touch that, but then they make blunt raps. You sell it to the hood, to anybody with a dub sack. To cash driving Cadillacs, to kids with a lunch sack. So fuck you gon' get a bag, then get a world of drag.
People everywhere, we smoke that ganja, blow that smoke up in the air. They say we don't can have it, but we really don't care. Liberate the mind of the people everywhere. We all love a marijuana. People everywhere, we smoke that ganja, blow that smoke up in the air. They say we don't can have it, but we really don't care. Liberate the mind of the people everywhere. We all love a marijuana.
The world's gone ganja crazy, living in the ganja nation, feeling like a ganja patient, but I'm fully conscious, baby. Eyes wide open, even though they looking low. And I'm moving with the best, even though I'm moving slow. And I did have a problem, but I blew it up in smoke. Now I ain't worried about a thing, cause we supposed to let it go. So instead I sing a note, cigarilla full of dro. How come you acting like dro is the only bud you know? I got Medibud, Euphoria, bubblegum, cola, white widow, max tie stick and hash plant, master kush, bubba kush, blue misty, grapefruit, ice and early misty. I got strawberry coffee, G13 haze, northern lights, mango, super silver haze, purple power blue, pure power plant. Now everybody pick one to feel the power of the plant.
People everywhere, we smoke that ganja, blow that smoke up in the air. They say we don't can have it, but we really don't care. Liberate the mind of the people everywhere. We all love a marijuana. People everywhere, we smoke that ganja, blow that smoke up in the air. They say we don't can have it, but we really don't care. Liberate the mind of the people everywhere.